At the beginning of 2024, I gave myself a bunch of language learning goals, and one of those goals was to learn a new script. And possibly this year I may learn more than one new script, depending on how this goes. But I just wanted to learn other scripts, not necessarily the languages that are within those scripts, but just the script itself, so I can look at words and actually give them a good go when it comes to pronunciation. I made a video recently on learning foreign alphabets or foreign scripts. I think this video I just wanted to touch a little bit on how I'm exactly going to learn Cyrillic. There are different forms of Cyrillic. Obviously you've got different letters and stuff between like Russian, Ukrainian, Serbian, etc. But I'm going to focus mostly on the Russian Cyrillic script, and then obviously from there, once I'm comfortable with those letters and those characters within the Russian script, I can look at other languages that use Cyrillic script and then see the differences and then learn those characters from there. I know Ukrainian uses like the I with the two dots on top, which isn't used in Russian, for example. And I know that Serbian, I believe Serbian has like a H with a line through the bottom of one of the bottom parts of the H. So there's certain characters that aren't used within Russian, but I think Russian is a good base to learn the Cyrillic script and then go from Russian to learn and look at other languages that use the Cyrillic script. And the reason I want to learn Cyrillic script of any script right now is because Cyrillic I see all the time, whether it's on the internet, whether it's like on GeoGuessr, or whether it's wherever else. I see Cyrillic a lot, and it's always kind of annoying that I can't look at a word and just like understand how it's said or how it's pronounced. And I think that it would be very important to be able to at least understand a little bit of how a word could be pronounced within Cyrillic, to at least look at a word and be like, that is said like this. It takes a while maybe to look at a word and be able to pronounce it. I may not understand what that word means, but at least I'd be able to look at a word and go, Privyet. Okay, cool. I understand at least how it's said. I hope that makes sense. If it doesn't, essentially, like, I just want to learn the script regardless. It doesn't really matter why I want to learn it. I just think it's important to learn other scripts, and especially scripts such as Cyrillic, or maybe in the future Arabic would be quite a big one. I know Korean is one that I would like to understand at some point as well. But right now it's Cyrillic. I think Cyrillic's just such a big script, well-used script across the world, and I think it's just very important to look at the Cyrillic script and understand the basis of how to understand and pronounce most Cyrillic written scripts. So there are a few different ways that I'm going to kind of look at the Cyrillic script, but the main resource I'm going to use is going to be Link. I've spoken about Link many times, but just to give you an idea, I can look at Link and I've got all these different resources here, as you can see. And like I can just go down and basically click any of these stories and it's going to give me Cyrillic text. For the sake of it being simple, I could click on something, well maybe not so simple, Russian cases with mini stories. I thought it'd be simple actually because it looks cartoonish, but we'll open it anyway. It doesn't really matter. But we can listen to, and we've got this story, and I know already that first word kot, which means cat, because it's the same in Polish, right? So
Kot.
kot. I click it. It's a very short and easy word. Luckily, all the letters look the same as the Latin script counterpart. So k or t, kot.
Kot.
Kot means cat, as I rightly guessed, because obviously it's the same in Polish, kot. So I can click known. And then I can look at a word like this, which is the word after kot, and it may be a little bit more difficult because it's a bit longer. But we can click it and see how it's pronounced.
Vladimir.
Vladimir. Vladimir.
Vladimir.
Vladimir. And I already understand like a little bit of the Cyrillic script because of how much I come into contact with it and how much I've just messed around with Link already in my spare time without actually recording it on YouTube. But you can start to break down. That's V, L, A, D, I, M, I, I. So you can kind of look at it, and even though certain letters may look like the P looks like a P, or I should say the R looks like a P, but it makes a sound or R sound, or however the exact R sound is. But you get the idea that essentially if you look at the P, you know that it should be an R because you're looking at Vladimir. And with this particular word, it's literally a letter by letter translation It has the same amount of letters, but obviously Russian, it just looks a bit different.
Vladimir,
Vladimir. And obviously my pronunciation is not going to be great. I literally have no practice with speaking Russian whatsoever. But for the purposes of learning the script and not necessarily wanting to learn the language, you know, I know that that's V. I know that this character here is L, A, D, E, M, E, R. And then we got this word here,
его,
Yegor.
его,
Yegor. And then we can look at this word, and then we can start to look at the first character, which we know from Vladimir, which is an L. I know that this Y is more like a U sound, so like L. And then I also know that these H's are like N's, so Lun. I'm not really sure the Oi, how that's going to sound in this, to be honest. And then you've also got this N at the end with the thing on top, which I actually don't know how that sounds.
лунный,
Luni. So that's Luna, which means moon or Luna.
лунный, лунный,
Luni. So you can click that. So we look at Vladimir. The fourth letter is D. Maybe I can zoom in a little bit. You can see Vladimir. The fourth letter in Vladimir is V, L, A, D. D. And it's that little character. And then we've got it again in this word. And we know O is the same from court. And then we haven't yet come across M. But if we... I know the M is an M sound in Russian. And so... but even if you didn't know, you can at least go do, dom, maybe. And again, because of my knowledge of Polish, this word would tell me it means house.
дом,
Dom. So we got kot Vladimir I ego lunie dom. Cat Vladimir and his moon house. Vladimir the cat and his moon house. Oh, Vladimir the cat. Interesting. And literally like that, you can just go through something like a link and piece together what sounds each character makes, and you can just kind of break down all of these words. You can look at literally whatever word you want. And again, I know it helps because I do know some of the characters' sounds anyway, or at least roughly what sounds they should make. But it's always a good exercise to do something like this and just understand and practice your listening, because sometimes letters may make different sounds, such as in English, there's many situations where letters will make different sounds. So it's always good to do your best to try and do this as much as possible. In terms again of like trying to learn a script, this is a very good way to do it, because you don't have to sit there and look at the alphabet and become very bored by doing very rudimentary alphabet songs or whatever. You can just go straight into a material like this and just break down the alphabet within words. Привет.
друзья,
Druzia. Ya, druzia. So from the end of this word, druzia.
друзья,
So we know from the end of druzia, the backwards R makes a ya sound, ya sound.
я,
Ya, which I already, again, knew. But for the sakes of this, even if I didn't know, you could even look at this word, for example, which would be historia. Historia. Literally historia,
история,
which means story. Imya.
имя,
So one by one, I can just start to like look at words and just click them.
профессия,
Profesia. And then basically mark them off as known or unknown or whatever. The main purpose of doing something like this is to try and understand each letter and just trying to get a feel for each character, because by doing this, you essentially will get to see most of the letters in the alphabet anyway, in a word, essentially. It's the same way that when you learn phrases, you're learning words within phrases. We're doing this, learning letters, you're learning the letters within the word itself. So it just helps to sort of piece everything together. Ruskia, this is Russia or Russian or something.
русская,
Russian. I could tell. Ruskia. Ruskaya.
русская,
Ruskaya. Although they pronounce it slightly differently. Obviously, I appreciate that not everyone has a link or even is able to pay for link. And so I'm just going to quickly show you that you could even do it with Google Translate. So I know that basically everyone knows how to use Google Translate, but it's still a really good resource, and you can literally just type in anything you want. So if I type in to give, for example, into this, then it will give you davat, which it says under here in the Romanized version, which I kind of wish there was an option to maybe turn that off. It still helps for learning the script, but it's also really useful to not see the Romanized version and to really try and use your brain to figure out how to read this word, and not to be aided by the script that you're very much used to. But otherwise, like, Google Translate is a really good resource, and obviously if you don't have something like Link, then you could use Google Translate to sort of fill in that gap. And the other thing you could do is to go on YouTube and find channels such as Easy Russian, which you could then just watch these videos and do your best to try and do the same kind of thing that I've already talked about. Right here we have Всем привет и добро. Pause. I don't know what sound this character makes actually, but I think it's like a sh. No, it's not a sh. I actually don't know what sound that makes. Poalovat or something like that. So then I don't know what sound that character makes, so I could try and listen to this and then see what I hear. There are 3 different ways that you could, and 3 ways that I will be using to learn the Cyrillic script. Mainly I'm going to be using Link, but I will also use YouTube as another really big resource with Easy Russian specifically, but also I will use Google Translate when it's needed as well. All those 3 things combined will help me to learn the Cyrillic script without needing to just sit down and look at the alphabet, because that is such a boring way of learning a language, boring way of learning a script of any kind, and I think it's a lot more fun to look immediately into words and to try and understand how those words are said, and then to break them down into the individual letters. So that is how I'm going to be learning this Cyrillic script. Let me know if there's anything that you would do differently when it comes to learning a new script. And yeah, we'll see how this goes. This is, by the way, how I helped myself to learn the hiragana and katakana in Japanese. I would say that overall it's quite a good method. There are still a couple characters in the hiragana and katakana that sometimes throw me off, but overall, I look at a word, I try to hear or pronounce it before I hear it, and then if I get it wrong, that's a good mistake to make this, and you kind of tell yourself, okay, I'm not going to make that mistake again. So that's a very good process in the whole, like, trying to learn a language, and in this case trying to learn a particular script. So yeah, let me know in the comment section below what you would do differently, if anything at all. And with all that out of the way, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll catch you in the next one for another one. Until then, thank you so much and peace out.